Welcome back to our show, Marriage on the Rock, Ready to Roll. This episode and the last one are both related to what are the most common mistakes that some people may fall in choosing their future spouses. And I brought many points. I would like to review some of them because they will help me to give you the balance of today's episode. One of the common mistakes that we spoke of is being immature, being not ready yet. And I don't mean readiness in money, but ready in maturity of feelings, maturity in mind, settlement in job, readiness in thinking. Also, the mistakes are choosing on a non-spiritual basis, being obsessed with fake signs, unrealistic in your expectations that she is the best, she will never make any mistake, he is the kindest person, he will never get angry, and so forth. Emotional or sexual starvation or thirst, which make you sometimes willing to go forward fast because you want to satisfy an aspect or an angle that's not a whole marriage. Also, being hasty or fast or not taking your time because of past experiences you want to get married fast, or because you are traveling or moving from one country to the other. We also spoke about the mistake of not knowing what you like, what you want to be. What ticks you? What are your vulnerable points? What makes you angry? What makes you happy? Where is money in your priorities? Where is God in your priorities? Are you moving or settling? Are you studying or not? Are you happy in your job or you want to change it? Are you aware of your desires, your defects, your weaknesses before you start exploring another person? If the time is inappropriate, for example, you are not ready yet for any of the reasons we mentioned, I would like you not to sacrifice many things. Don't sacrifice opinion of people or sacrifice physical touches. Not being frank and not showing yourself in the right way, that's a bad mistake. Pretending that everything is good when not everything is good. Pretending that he or she are the best for you when you are not too convinced yet. Some of the mistakes are related to prior experiences, whether bad or inappropriate or in between, that you had an experience and that experience put you to judge the person and you say, no, she's not good for me. Why? Because somebody, for example, cheated on you. So now you assume that person will also be bad. That's not a good thing to do. It's a mistake. You are not giving the benefit of doubt to the other person. This person is different than your past experience. You had a person who left you after engagement for several months, and now you are so scared of everybody and you are refusing many good people. Why? Because of your bad experiences. But who said your bad experiences has to really dictate what you will go through now? Bad experiences unfortunately affect all of us, but they should be limited, that they are wrong experiences. Learn from them, but don't make them dictate what you need to do next. I spoke also about being hesitant, that you choose and then you go back and you go forward and you go backward and you give signs that you are interested and then you pull out completely. And I said, don't be scared that you were rejected before. Hopefully, learn why you were rejected. Correct if it's something related to you. But open your mind and heart for the new person you are about to meet. Not because you were rejected before, it's always your fault. It could be your fault, and I would like you to learn why it was your fault and correct it. But don't always label yourself, oh, nobody will like me. I also spoke about focusing on one character and thinking the whole person is beautiful because his appearance is beautiful, or the whole person is rich because he is rich. Richness does not apply to spiritual richness, for example. Now, let me talk about a few more mistakes that unfortunately, a lot of people fall in. Big differences. And when I say big differences, I'm speaking about everything. Big difference in age. While the church may have put certain number of age that the man should be older than the wife by, I think, certain number, let's say 12 years or 7 years, this is an arbitrary number. But the reason is more important. I have met ladies who are older than their husbands and they are very happily married. And I have met husbands and wife, they are 2 and 3 years different from each other in age and they are very miserable. So it's a factor, but not the only factor. We prefer that men are a little older than women because women tend to get older in biology sooner. So if the woman is 65, she will look a lot older than her husband who is 65. So if he's 70, they will continue to match well. They will continue to walk slowly. But if he is 65 and she is 65, she hardly can walk and he is running. So we want the age to be closer, but no hard rules. And this particular rule should be discussed with your fathers of confession, because he may say, my daughter, you are older by 2 years. It's not a big deal. You seem like you are matching and compatible in everything else, no problem. Or he may say, you are 2 years different, but I don't see any compatibility. So age, we don't like big differences. Culture. You will hear me in many occasions saying that we are a big pot in America or in the West in general, where many, many cultures are mixed together. At one time, I was thinking in one liturgy, there are at least 20 different cultures in one church. Because we all came from all walks in life. Southern of Egypt versus Northern Egypt, versus Greek versus Russian, versus Spanish, versus Canadian, versus American, versus Australian, and many, many in between. I am not here to tell you what culture fits what. That's not my job. But all what I'm saying, don't see very big variation in culture and think your marriage will work very well. It can, but you are taking a bit of a gamble. Let me give you an example. Let's say I came from Upper Egypt and you are born in the States, and we met and we look like we like each other. But because of my strong culture from Upper Egypt, everything you wear, I'm commenting on that it is not correct for my culture. When we go outside and eat, I don't like that you are eating rare steak with blood in it. When we are meeting people, I don't like people hugging you or kissing you. You see how many issues could come from these variations in culture? I'm not saying don't get married. I'm saying study it, talk about it. Tell him where you come from and where he comes from. If you guys can meet in the middle, great. If both culture can melt, will be the best home. Because not all American culture is good, and believe me, not all Southern Egyptian culture is great. I wish we can meet in the middle. But if each one can persist and insist that my culture is the best and we need to be like this, I'm not sure how it's going to work. It's going to be a mistake. Education, and I want to be very careful about that. I don't mean here doctors should marry doctors and engineers should marry engineers and teachers should marry that's completely nonsense. Education should be closer, not matching. So for example, if I have a bachelor degree, I hope my wife have something lesser than me. Hopefully she is not a PhD, because when wives are bigger or higher in education level than their husbands, and they have no interest in increasing their educational rank, the gap will continue to widen. And maybe the wife will never judge you and tell you you never study, but you will always feel, oh, because you know better, oh, because you have PhD, oh, I know nothing, oh, you know everything. Although the poor woman, she never tells you that. So I mean in education, I prefer that the husband either equal or slightly higher in educational rank than the wife. Second, I hope if they are going to study, both of them are pushing each other, maybe not in the same time. A wife will tell him, listen, I will take off now, you study, and when I'm ready, you take off, you take care of the home and I'll study, and so forth. Also, talk about what type of education you're going to attain. What if the future wife wants to have a PhD, which is great, an amazing degree. But are you as a husband okay for many years of hardships during the marriage, maybe no babies? Talk about it, because it's a mistake. Spiritual difference could be a problem. A person who every single day that the church is opened, he is there. You find him in midnight praises and in meetings and in liturgies but she is a kind of person, she goes once a month and attend liturgy and goes, and she doesn't like to serve, she doesn't like to attend meetings. Nothing wrong with her, by the way. Beautiful person. But this variation will be a problem unless you guys talk about it. But it could be a mistake, because you are going to impose on her to come with you, and maybe in the engagement period she will. But then later on she will hate it because it's not her style. And you cannot go down. So that's a big variation. You are a lady who loves to listen to songs and hymns and meetings, and you have all your friends from the church and you don't have any friends outside. But he doesn't have any friends from any church. How is that going to work together in marriage? You're choosing her because she is a spiritual person. Good for you. She's going to be a great mother. But are you guys going to get closer or get apart? Is she going to pull you to God, or you going to distance her from her friends? Talk about it, but it can be a mistake. Finances. I don't like to talk about finances because to me it should be under your feet, not above your head. It should be your slave, not your master. But it could be a big mistake in choosing. Some person wants to choose a very rich person so they can live happy ever after. Some person doesn't care about it. What are you choosing upon? I hope this is not one of the main pillars upon which you choose. Because if you choose the money, you will always thirsty and running after to be rich. And sometimes you deprive your family for you to fill your account. One of the mistakes that happen during the choosing time, that you evaluate the family as a whole, which is nothing wrong that you should know how her mom does, how her dad does. But do you really have to know how her uncle divorced his wife? Are you going to judge him because his great uncle was in prison? Why? Immediate family you should observe notice how they deal with each other, because it can affect your future wife or husband. But if you are going to judge him based on distant family members, that's a mistake. That's not fair. One of the mistakes also that you are not judging the family at all. So the extreme. But have you seen how her father treats her mother? Her father is always disrespecting her mother. Are you going to, you have to ask yourself, is your fiancé going to disrespect you as he saw his dad disrespecting his mom? Are you choosing him or not? And if you are choosing, are you talking about it or not with him? One of the common mistakes in choosing your future spouse is major intrusion from the family. I love when the family give advices to their son or daughter about the person he is dating. But when they are interfering in every single little detail, becomes suffocating and becomes a mistake. On the extreme though, canceling completely the opinion of the families is also a mistake. I hope I'm not confusing you. You need to take their advices and their blessings, but they should not be interfering in every minor detail. But canceling their opinions is dangerous. Let me give you an example. Your mom is telling you lately, my darling, you have been so sad. Every time you go out with your fiancé, you come back weeping and sad. What's wrong with you? Listen to your mom. She is speaking something very serious, that you are not happy. You cannot cancel her opinion. If your mom told you since you got engaged, you have been never coming to the liturgy, you never care about confession, you don't attend any of the meetings of the servants, something is wrong. Your engagement have pulled you away from your spiritual life. Listen to your parents. So as much as I say, there must be a balance. Your parents are a blessing, and sometimes God sent His voice on their mouth. Sometimes. But in the same time, do not allow so many intrusions to the extent you get so confused. One of the last and final mistakes in choosing, when you choose to marry because you don't have better things to do. And I really ask you, please do not do that. For example, you are lonely and you feel lonely and you just have somebody to serve you, to be with you. That's not good enough. I want you to be a whole person first, full of maturity, balanced spiritually, economically, financially, educationally, socially, morally, ethically. I don't want the marriage to be an escape because your family is annoying you, or because you immigrated and you are alone, so since you are alone, might as well get a wife because your parents in the other country, they're always nagging, you need to get married. I don't want you to get married because your father is telling you, I'm going to die and I'm getting old and I don't want to die without seeing your children. These are bad reasons to choose or to be hastily about it. Yes, we want to fulfill this amazing relationship in marriage, but we would like not to make a mistake. Welcome back to our show, Marriage on the Rock. I am sure many of us who are long married sometimes like to go back and review what we have done right or wrong. If there is anything that her mind may tell her, but he is incompatible, one of the things you need to figure out in your future spouse is he or she are lying easily. The Bible says, for example, be pure. Does he or she live in purity? The second component is choosing by the mind. Because this person may be practically, mindfully, very compatible. Ask his friends, is he beloved? Is he loved? Is he liked by his friends?